Have you ever met people that were in dealing with a terminal illness or lying on their deathbed, but you felt that they deeply understood that they can die at any moment, that life and death aren't separate, that it's not so much of a separation, it's kind of intertwined, that they're living and dying is happening at the same time?
Mm,
And if so, what was it about them that was different, or how did they live different, or what was the sense that you got?
mm. That's good. That's a good one. You can see I'm looking off in the middle distance trying to remember, because that's how uncommon an experience it is, right? How can you tell? I'll restate your question slightly. How can you tell that somebody knows that they're going to die?
Mm-hmm.
There.
Yeah.
How can you tell? Okay, so let's start with an example of something else first and see if we can apply it to dying. I'm old enough to remember, you certainly have heard of it, although you're too young to know it firsthand. So-called oil crisis. I think it was in the mid 80s or so, mostly in your country there. And fist fights at the gas pumps, the whole crazy 9 yards. Nobody ever imagined they'd ever see such a thing, and they were seeing it. And lineups down the block and so forth. Get ready, buckle up, because those days could well be coming again, just now because of the sanctions against Russia and the rest. Okay. So that's the time I'm thinking about, and I'm thinking about your question, and here's the application. Could you tell in those days that people knew that there was enough oil for everybody forever and ever? Amen. Could you tell that people knew that? Answer is, you certainly could tell. How could you tell? Just observe their behavior, especially their buying behavior. Were they buying the big cars? You know they were. There's no compact car time. That was later. But in those days, people were continuing to buy everything that needed there to be a infinite amount of gas and oil in the ground and in the tank. That's how you could tell. Now, if you're listening carefully, you could say, but that was never true, man. It was never true there was enough to live that way. I didn't say it was true. I said we knew it. There's a difference, right? We knew something that wasn't so. And you could tell by our behavior that we knew it. Now, take out oil and gas from the story and plunk in dying and ask yourself, is there anything in the behavior of the people that you see every day that tells you that they know beyond any shadow of a doubt that they're going to die? Do they know that you're going to die? Can you tell by how they are with you that they know? Is there anything that carries this understanding forward and makes it an ongoing reality instead of something we think about on occasion when circumstances around us force us to do so? And the answer probably is, I can't even think what the criteria would be by which I could identify somebody like that, which is why you've asked me the question. Okay, so what does it mean? I suspect it means this. Most people don't know. That's number one. Number two, for those people who do know, they may not have the chops to live that out, because it's not like they're surrounded by an enabling culture who helps them figure that stuff out and proceeds accordingly. And thirdly, if you know that you're going to die and you go to a party, man, I'm telling you, you're not likely to be popular, because your ability to talk shit with strangers, if I may just put it this way, takes a hit when you know that you're going to die. Because one of the things you're wondering is, why? Why am I talking this drivel? Why am I just passing the time of day? Why am I trying to score or hit on somebody? What's it for? Now, the PS on what I'm saying is this. It might sound to people who are listening to this right now as if I'm saying, oh my God, once you realize you're going to die, it's just your life is an ongoing disaster that you can never redeem. I'm not saying that. I'm describing the transitional moment when you go from you didn't know this to you do. First order of business is you don't know how to translate it at all. Second order of business is the life you've been living up until now starts to look a little paltry and a little misshapen and a little irresponsible, right? And a little desperate. So you don't look at your best, right? This is not an easy thing to realize. I'm deeply sympathetic with the challenge that comes to a North American's, ordinary life when this realization comes flooding in. Eventually, I don't know how long it takes, but eventually you get the chance to begin to translate the understanding into a way of life that you don't have to wait until you're dying to live out. That's the magic. That's the alchemy. It's the act of translation. Listen, most of that stuff is work. I'm straight up. It's work. It's not inspiration. You're not walking around light as a feather. Everything's cool. You're good. None of that's true. No, the intermediate time is a hard time. You've looked into the face of God for a second when you realize you're going to die. And you realize there's no debate, baby. There's no back and forth. You don't get a vote. Okay. How are you going to translate that now? Okay. So it's not a bad way to spend your weekend, contending with all those things, really and honestly. I mean, whatever you might think of me at this juncture in our talk here, one thing you can't accuse me of is being depressed. You'd never stick. And I've seen all this shit that I'm saying to you, and I've lived it out as best as I can. And I go through it again and again and again. And I'm not depressed. I'm telling you, that's not what it does to you. But it does make you want to be alive. I can promise you that. And it's not clear what that's supposed to be anymore. But it does give you a sense of urgency where you were fairly casual before. And that's why you're kind of a drag at parties, because you're a little too urgent, right? And things are a little too clear. And it's not easy to be in the presence of people for whom this is a drag. They don't need it. You're a drag, and so forth.